Popular. I'll sit right behind me. Take care of the neighborhood. Like all you you're into the street.
Forgive Brandon answer.
Yeah, they're down there.
Not the rich part.
Oh.
Go down the plugged in,
No, I'm okay.
There's not much to buy. You know?
Just waiting for this thing to slow down.
You know what?
I got boxing gloves on.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw you.
I'm not sure if he's gonna sit up here or not.
I was just proud of you.
He's like cool.
You good? You slow down.
You're texting about it was awesome. I was like,
We're still working.
Hopefully, yeah. I wish I had contacts with that. No one would be able to see what's
I got some one day after, yeah, you know, your backyard is like, I didn't see, he's like, I saw that.
I heard it got closer, and I'm like,
I think I got a job.
I don't like it anymore.
is that from Jenny?
You already got the payroll in?
Yeah, I got it right here.
I'm just.
I need a pen, I don't have.
Oh, I can grab a couple, you're making my job easier, I appreciate it.
Used to be the high.
Working, one to the gym. Oh, I think you missed her. Yeah, I didn't know you did.
I know he's still screaming.
Thank you, sir.
Hey Sarah, how are you? Running off the house this week, that's all. It's a burn off the house this week.
They knew that it was like.
So I don't think the meeting's started. Started.
Yeah. Holly, what you been up to? Neighborhood under control? How'd you guys, yeah, how'd you guys' road turn out? It's Fox here, but.
Start plumbing next week.
How are you?
Yeah, electrical done, HVAC done.
Don't put this bomb out there.
Hey, look, they're good, man. Feel good. See you.
Thank you. That was very nice. There's so many of us
Yeah, she.
She's parking the car.
Pardon? Todd, I don't know, he's not getting quarantined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you building?
Yeah, I don't know if you.
You know, I got my development right there, the lake of excellence. I've got. Thanks, Brandon.
Feel free here.
I've got 6 of them. I got one that gets close to starting out west of Bolton. And then I got 2 of them east side down here.
I see your name on one of them.
Then I finished that. I got 2 of them south. We got one for
Really?
Yes, sir. Oh, just, yeah, I would. I'm just. Yes, I'm trying
I don't
to.
know, because they're, they get tired of them, because they don't show up. They get tired of your guys.
Yeah.
One of them show up.
Just trying to remember how to do that. Goes against my
Hey,
instinct.
boss.
So, yeah.
Oh,
Not
hanging in
possibly
there.
protector.
Who's that behind you? Your trail leader?
It doesn't look like it.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't too bad.
Go out today. Who's got it?
How you guys been?
He can have training.
It's too damn cold today.
They were gone.
They're playing soccer one day, and then they're like, good, they're gone.
You gotta get training, everybody starts trying to play.
Fair play, we're gonna do. And then I think they had this other disease.
Yeah, it's,
Better?
I don't think they got it.
Better? I'm gonna do that.
Mayor said so.
You are? I'm getting closer every day. Hopefully this May, I'm thinking about it.
Leon's gonna let you retire.
So when did you, what was your?
He goes in there and looks at the antique auction
Oh,
stuff
really?
every day.
Yeah, that's what he needs, more shit to rock. I remember the roofing, Ernie went up there with the little spot. He goes, "Where's he going?"
Word, we know where he's good.
He's just letting everyone go to shit.
Yeah.
Mice around him.
We got stuff.
Spoons grew. Yeah, he would look at some of them. You run them. Well, they're already run. Because he don't know to stop some of the jobs. Probably not.
Hey, what's he starting to do?
They put a lot of money. Oh my gosh. You're gonna Oh, maybe. Which, you know, you get. You might even try to bring it
Mike's.
Good evening. I just wanted to let you guys know the YouTube stream is running. We live stream all the meetings, so if you want to wave to the camera, people can see you, that's all. The sound is not on. We're not recording your sound. I'm just letting you know that it's on.
Yeah.
Somebody won't see part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like that. We all, yeah. Almost like Jerry. Stay up. While we're up one weekend, and that's I didn't call it.
I took my Christmas tree down.
Oh.
I was taking it too much time. Yeah. Sad.
I thought, she's not moving.
No, it's a sweet tree. I actually, instead of taking it apart, decided to have it in the house. And then just take it that way, a little easier. So next year I can just pull it right out. Yeah, less light. That's where I'm set now.
It's always that way around our house. They just trying to make everything down. The way it was.
I took him out of diapers.
Oh, did you? You just got that person or whatever.
I tried to train him. It didn't.
Didn't work.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm falling in the air for it. No problem with my wife, though, one day I'll have to bed.
Is she shy? I never knew her to be shy.
Oh, around people.
They got 3 each one through the road, so they connect.
Come off with 2 and get it out. I don't know how it plays out.
He said age. Okay. He looks like real.
The toilets are so low flow.
He's your info.
Yeah, that's, yeah, it's everybody's.
Yeah, I'll let you do
Took the bathroom here.
That's why you can't miss it.
He's special, all right. Some of them stories, I told that story about you. Your dad was up on the roof, you two were on the ground.
Oh, the soul. Laverne just pulled out.
I feel sorry for you. They something up there.
Ran over his lunch.
Oh, car John.
That's a big deal.
There you go.
Special deal. That's on the side of $50 and get it.
There is an overflow room if you'd like to get in tight in here. You can go out there and watch the meeting on the TV on the bench. Appreciate the birthday wishes.
Your ABS, my godmother calls it. Probably find it 3 to 2, probably 5 minutes. It was a couple of weeks ago, right? It was in the code book, but not in there anymore. This is good.
There you go.
They make a special glue. $7.94 the product is.
Mom's, I want 10 feet away.
Actually wants to.
All right. See what that guy that's out on a cold call, but we moved that one over here, so you get it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
We have extra space in the lobby if you would prefer to watch it on the TV in the lobby. It's not nearly as crowded.
They're going to Arizona. That's awesome. Right there. Cheers.
He's still spending quite a bit of time now. I saw the email, he said I'm late today. Between schools. I guess he said both you guys think we're fine. So we're things are.
we got witnesses.
No, they got her yesterday. I had no idea.
I heard you talking like that all the time.
Yeah, but she was out of town. I said, wouldn't be surprised if she was going
I remember that.
Breeze shower.
I didn't chat.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
This conference will
Good evening. My name is Brandon Mills. I'm the city clerk. I'm just letting you know that we started the recording. You can talk as much as you want. I'm just letting you know you're being recorded right now.
We have additional seating in the front lobby by the TV there.
One down here.
One more?
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the January 6th DeSoto City Council meeting to order. Start with roll call, please.
Murdoch?
Here.
Daniels?
Here.
Michael?
Here.
Ritter?
Here.
Lane?
Here.
All are present.
Okay, I would invite you all to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To everyone that's here tonight on behalf of the governing body, I want to thank you for your attendance. Because many of you are likely here concerning the public hearing and agenda items 4A and 4B, I want to let you know that we will not be voting on those items tonight. The reason is this, that just yesterday we learned the legal description submitted for the annexation of the Sunflower property, unbeknownst to the applicant for the annexation or to the city, included around 130 acres of land that was titled to Johnson County Parks District. We want to fix this issue immediately, and I will be asking the City Council to hold a special meeting next week to consider a new annexation ordinance. We can then consider and formally vote on agenda items 4A and 4B at our regular meeting on January 20th, 2022. Despite this, though, we will go ahead and open the public hearing tonight regarding the tax increment financing district, since we did notice the hearing would happen tonight. But instead of closing the hearing tonight, we will simply continue the hearing to our regular city council meeting here at City Hall at 7 p.m. on January 20th, 2022 in this same room. I thank you for your patience and understanding. With that, I would invite Kevin Wimpy, Gilmore and Bell, our bond counsel, to introduce the TIF item, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Kevin Wimpy with Gilmore and Bell, counsel for the city here. Pleasure to see you all tonight. As discussed, I'll spend just a few minutes sort of highlighting TIF in general, as well as the process and where it sits overall. So just a couple minutes of background here for you all, and I'd be happy to field any questions you might have. So just to start with a broad overview, the TIF is an economic development tool available in certain eligible areas of the city, including areas deemed blighted under the TIF Act. TIF is a discretionary tool, so if the developer presents a plan, there's nothing that compels the city to take any action, and the governing body has the discretion to grant some, all, or none of the developer's requests. The sort of financial mechanics of TIF involve the diversion of incremental property tax revenues and sometimes sales tax revenues to pay eligible project costs under the statute. And when we refer to the increment or property tax increment, what that means is that on the day a TIF district is created, the base assessed value of the district is established, and increment refers to property taxes generated in excess of that assessed valuation. And there are 29.5 mills that are off limits to TIF, that is, they're held harmless to TIF, and 28 of those belong to local school districts, with the balance to the state mills. I mentioned TIF is only usable for eligible costs under the TIF Act, and at a high level, that just means it's really limited to site acquisition, site work, and other horizontal infrastructure, and ineligible costs include vertical development paid for by the developer. There are two main ways to finance TIF projects, one being issuance of bonds, the second being pay-as-you-go financing. Bonds you're likely familiar with, where an investor purchases a bond and provides us upfront financing to fund those project costs, and then it's repaid over time with the TIF revenues mentioned earlier. That's not being considered with the project before you. So the second method is the pay-as-you-go method, meaning that the city's not fronting any cash. Rather, the developer fronts all the cash for the project and then is eligible to be repaid from TIF revenues collected with TIF hearing. Now, to sort of skip to the process with TIF and detail where we're at in relation to this project. TIF's a lengthy process that involves lots of notices, publications, public hearings, and so forth. At its very quickest, from beginning to end, the TIF project usually takes several months and often longer. So step one of the two-step process is establishment of a TIF district. You recall that the City Council adopted a resolution calling tonight's public hearing a couple of meetings ago. There's been mailed notice to other taxing jurisdictions and publications in the paper according to the TIF Act. At the district creation stage, the key points there that defines the geographic area of the TIF district and sets the basis of valuations I mentioned earlier. The TIF ordinance also provides a high-level description of the project and one or more project areas within that TIF district. And final key point on district establishment is that 30 days after the close of the public hearing related to the establishment of the TIF district, the school district and county have the right to veto that district. And if a finding of adverse effect is found by either of those two governing bodies, the city must dissolve the TIF district. Looking forward, the second phase, or step two of the TIF district, is adoption of the TIF plan. And this requires a 2/3 vote of the governing body, so it is supermajority. To get to that stage, we basically repeat the same public notice process. to get to this meeting tonight, meaning there's mail notice that impacts jurisdictions and publications. The TIF plan involves more specific project details, and there's a development agreement involved that really sets forth the terms and conditions of the development and how it'll be financed and how the developer might be reimbursed funds. Key point here, two of them actually. One is that adoption of a TIF plan allows for expenditure of TIF funds. Prior to that date, TIF funds cannot be expended for the project. And second is that it starts the 20-year clock applicable to that TIF plan. Under the TIF statute, TIF plans are limited to a maximum of 20 years. So with that high-level background, again, tonight we would have been at step one, holding the public hearing on establishment of the TIF district itself. And so step two, regarding the more specific details of the project, would occur later if you should choose to proceed. And that would be preceded by negotiation of a development agreement, TIF plan, and again, another round of notices at the end. So with that, I'll stop, and happy to stick around and answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. So our next step then will be to open the public hearing to take comment on the TIF district. So I would ask, if you choose to make comments, that your comments are related to the TIF district item, that you, when you come to the podium, please state your name and address. I ask that we would stay on task on this item, that we would refrain in the audience from clapping or cheering that would needlessly make it harder for us to hear and needlessly extend this session, and that we would be respectful, not use profane language. And I think with those few ground rules, there will be a 4-minute time limit per speaker. So I will now officially open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak regarding the TIF?
Rosemary Mail, 37265 West 95th Street. And I'm kind of going to the Kansas Supreme Court reasoning why the governing of rezoning the 8 points. And I'll go through this briefly.
Are these related to the TIF? Rezoning does not sound like TIF to me.
Okay, but this is the public speaking period, correct?
No, this is the public hearing for the TIF
So there's a
item.
public speaking period coming up in a little bit. You can speak on anything else besides.
There will be a, yes.
Okay, so regarding the TIF, the thing that really worries me about, that really bothers me about the TIF situation is that's so much public funds being spent for of our tax money for cleanup. DeSoto is already high on the tax rate for the Johnson County. We're the second highest, just barely under Shawnee Mission at our 9.785% of our tax rate value. And with that TIF, it's not going to help lower it any. You're going to put all those cleanup stuff on the public to pay. And what I had sent all you guys about the Parsons ammunition plant, that theirs is now 98% clean, and it was all paid for by the Army. So it doesn't make sense. You know, when you go back to the 2004 and 2005 agreement that the county had with the Sunflower Development Group, they were supposed to get that land really cheap because they were going to pay for all the cleanup costs, not come after public money. And if they couldn't pay for it, it was supposed to go back to the Army to clean up. So why now that DeSoto's took on this huge burden, why do you want to come after us as the public infrastructure to pay for cleanup? It doesn't make sense. That's my huge beef here with this TIF.
Okay.
DeSoto's tax dollar rate is extremely high enough in both of these issues. It doesn't need to go higher.
All right, thanks for your comment.
Mark, 8926 Tim Road.
I couldn't hear you. Could you please repeat?
Steve Marcotte, 8629 Primrose Street. TIF is not a benefit. Mainly it's justified for industrial projects. In most districts have found out it has a negative effect for hiring and employment. And studies have showed that it's failed to deliver prosperity to the city, and in fact has caused more harm to the city. Should not have this TIF, should let the government finish cleaning it up and be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that microphone on?
It is, you gotta really be, that's why I was trying, you gotta really speak close to it to be heard. So please, if you come up to speak, you're almost gotta be kissing the microphone.
I'm Dave Bennett, 29475 West 94th Street. This is also foreign and new to me. It's almost like it was planned to be secretive. I have no idea why I'm just finding out about this 2 days ago. So I apologize, I'm not the most attentive, I don't pay attention to all kinds of things, but something this big that's going to change our community so much, I would have thought would have been well advertised. And I don't believe it has been. It has been, I apologize, maybe everybody else knows about it. It's concerning to me that I don't know what this is that we're trying to let come in here. But what is it going to do for our community? What's going to do for our community? Why would we want to do it? Is it going to help any of the businesses here? Is it going to help any of the people that live here? Is it going to help DeSoto be what DeSoto is? So why are we doing it? Why are you all proposing to do this?
Just to clarify, this is not a back and forth, so we're just taking comments.
Sorry. Okay. I will try to find the answer to that question. Yep. Second of all, I started a business in 1994. You know what? Nobody gave me any money to start that business, not a dollar. Because I was going to be entrepreneurial enough to make money on my own. I was going to create a business and I was going to make money. Now, if these gentlemen, if these people do not, I apologize, if people do not believe they can make money, then they should go somewhere else and do something else. They shouldn't have all of us have to pay for it. Please tell me when the next meeting is going to be and get a bigger building, because this is really, I believe, needs a lot of discussion, needs a lot of talk before we bring thousands of people into our community every day to clock in and go to work and then go back to where they go. Seems to me it's only benefiting the business owner.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Will Moneymaker. I'm at 36715 West 95th. I just want to urge the council to make certain that they have walked through the entire plan and compared it to other plans that have taken place in the past. Dylan mentioned a little bit about research on TIF and how it has worked or not worked. I would encourage you guys to take a look at similar projects with a similar sized city and see how they turned out. And then I would also urge you to consider who will be doing the work, how long they've been in business, and how many of these type of deals that they did and how they worked out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy Cross from Shawnee. As far as...
Can you state your address, please, for the record?
12005 West 72nd Terrace, Shawnee, Kansas.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As far as it goes, there's going to be this increased trucking traffic that is being promoted all along the K-10 corridor. On the east side, You've got the, from 435 on to K10, that's basically a choke point right now, where they've got a merge happening on a curve. It was unfortunate design right there, but that's an accident zone that's constantly being hit. That's already occurring, as I noted from Sheriff Hayden. So that's one side. On the west side, you're gonna have, well, you guys also have K7, so there's gonna be that outlet to the, which doesn't really connect to other highways as well. It just goes up to Leavenworth and down to Olathe, and then kind of stops at those points. As far as your infrastructure that you're doing here, you are going to have those heavier duty roads built up, as far as that kind of concept, and that's going to be trucking traffic, which is hazard to anybody that needs to drive through that area, but that's, I'm sure that you got that already in the plan. As far as one part of the plan, I wasn't sure, as far as the description of it, it sounded like they were just going to haul in dirt to have some vegetation grow over the parts that were there. Seems like that's a pretty cheap fix for 80% of the taxes that are going towards that. So, I mean, that's just a side note from outside, but the traffic was mostly concerning. Thank you.
Big mark on 8629 pretty much. Just to be clear, we're not collecting any taxes off Sunflower State Park. So they're not paying their fair share of taxes now. And you want this city to pay taxes. Like I said, the TIF is not beneficial to this city. You need to find a different way of doing it.
Charlotte O'Hara, Overland Park, 15712 Windsor. Yeah, this mic is not super good, to say the least. I think the folks here tonight, they don't understand what's going on. This is a huge project. What we were promised in the beginning was that this was going to be the city and the park concept, that this was going to be residential, and that this was going to have high-tech industry, and now we're looking at the big, huge warehouse project, which will increase truck traffic on K10. I think that the public really needs to understand the scope of this and how this is going to impact them on their daily lives and on their taxes. Again, this is a huge, huge project. It's 6,000 acres. This has been in process since 2004. The cleanup was supposed to be completed in 2012. We're 10 years down the road from now. And I do want to emphasize that Parsons, because I have talked to Parsons candidates, and that they are at 98% cleanup. And they have their parks in place. They are starting to have development. And there is no local taxes going into the cleanup. So I just would encourage this, that the public be able to access all of the documents that are available. And this has been a long process, a long, long process. And for the community really not to know about it, it is problematic. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else tonight? So I'm not seeing any, so I would ask for a motion that we would continue the hearing to our January 20th meeting.
So moved.
Second the motion.
All in favor of continuing the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Our next item tonight is our consent agenda. Tonight on the consent agenda, we have approval of our minutes from the council meeting of December 16th and approval of pay ordinance 917 and consider a one-year lease renewal for the John Deere front end loader. Anyone have an issue or an item to discuss on the consent agenda or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Hanamichael,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 2 is call to public. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to comment about any matter relating to city business not listed on tonight's agenda. The comments that are discussed under call to public may or may not be acted on by the council during this meeting. There is a 4-minute time limit. Please stand and wait to be recognized by the mayor. When you're recognized, come to the podium and state your name and address, please. Anyone wish to address the council under call to public? Please come up.
Do I understand we can talk about the proposed rezoning now?
Well, it's, yeah, we'll allow some latitude there. Yeah, it is technically listed on tonight's agenda, but we've already said we're not going to vote on it, so.
Right. So, or is it going to be next Tuesday? I mean, I was confused about the special meetings that.
Okay.
Next Tuesday or?
We did not, have not set a date for the special meeting. The special meeting will only be to consider the correction of the annexation document.
Oh, okay.
The regular meeting, our next regular meeting is January 20th at 7 p.m., the same spot right here. And that's when hopefully these items will be taken up again.
Okay, so I'm going to be gone out of town the 20th, so if I could make my comments now, I'd appreciate it.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. All right, my name is Craig Connell, and my wife and I live at 39905 West 103rd Street, just west of Evening Star Road on the 103rd. We've owned the farm we live on for the last 12 years and built what we hope to be our last home there about 6 years ago. We moved from the KC metro area to live in the country, away from the big city congestion and noise. We both grew up in small towns in Iowa and like being close to towns like DeSoto and Eudora. You can imagine our dismay when we heard about the proposed rezoning and development of Gabriel. Like everyone else here, we are very concerned about the negative impact this proposed action will bring to our way of life and the property value of the nearby residents, including us. Based on the latest map of the recently annexed areas, the people most impacted by this are not residents of DeSoto. How can the city, in good conscience, negatively impact the investment we non-residents have made in our homes and property with no consideration of compensation? I propose the city of DeSoto adopt the following logical actions. Deny the request for rezoning and de-annex the Gabriel property from the city and let it go back to the county. If de-annexing this property is not in the city's best interest, at least keep it zoned rural. Then, in conjunction with the Chamber's Economic Development Group, work out a deal between Flint Development and Sunflower Redevelopment to create an industrial park in the northeast corner of the recently annexed 6,000 acres of Sunflower Army Ammunition Plant site. The land to the east of the northeast corner is a rock quarry. The land to the south and west of the northeast corner is more sunflower. The land to the north is already zoned commercial. So this is the perfect site to start DeSoto's industrial park. In addition, the K-10 underpass at Lexington is already 4 lanes wide, so handling additional truck traffic could be easily accommodated without major road reconstruction. In conclusion, I say leave the Gabriel land as a rural buffer for the residents on Edgerton Road and those of us living off Evening Star Road, and develop the northeast portion of the Sunflower site first. keeps the small town feel of DeSoto, and continue to bring in new business, but in the right locations. Let's not turn DeSoto into a town visible only as a warehouse or fast food stop from K-10. Thank you.
Anyone else under call to public?
Hello, I'm Holly Barth, live at 37070 West 25th Street. The gentleman that just spoke pretty much said exactly what I had typed out, so I won't restate it. He did it much more eloquently than I can. My question, I guess, for you tonight is the agenda has three different items listed. You have the TIF agreement, TIF district discussion, and then separately, a separate agenda item was the rezoning. So why can we not, I mean, the majority of the people that are here tonight are regarding rezoning. Very few people brought up about the TIF district. So obviously, all of these people here, I assume, are here for rezoning of the Gabriel property. So why does that have to be picked 2 weeks when you know I'm not going to ever get all the people that got here in 2 weeks, assuming with public plan? Why can't we vote on that tonight and give them the chance to speak? We spoke to the planning commission 2 weeks ago and expressed our concerns, and they said, you know, the 6,000 acres at Sunflower wasn't available when we looked at the Gabriel property. Now it is. So now that we have the 6,000 acres, why can we not start there, focus on that area? It's already got the infrastructure, it's already zoned into, and focus our energies there and leave the Gabriel property to let it be residential or anything besides the industrial complex that, you know, people have their forever homes out there. They don't want to be looking at that. And I know all of you appreciate that. You wouldn't want to be looking at that either.
So to answer your question, even though this isn't a back and forth question time, we cannot consider the annexation or the rezoning because the annexation for Gabriel was done at the same time that the annexation for Sunflower was. So we want to have a clean annexation ordinance that is on the record before we would consider a rezoning of any property that was contained in that annexation ordinance.
So then, would it be fair to let anyone here tonight who has taken time away to speak if they want to speak on this matter? Because
Well,
you know,
so to that point, tonight's, when we consider the rezoning, it is a time for the council to consider it. The time for the public hearing was at the planning commission level. That's when the public is invited to provide their testimony, and many people did, and I watched that. And so I don't think a restating of previous comments from the planning commission meeting would be impactful or helpful to the council to help them weigh the pros and cons of the rezoning.
only so that we had a much larger turnout this time than we did the planning council 2 weeks ago.
We didn't even know about it. We didn't know about it. It's all been very vague.
This is not a, so please be respectful. If you're at the podium, you can speak, but if from the audience, please don't speak.
So I think, you know, I mean, I think some of the responsibility falls on us as citizens, right? Because you have a webpage where you post the agendas, and it's upon us to go out there and just be proactive to look for it. But like we talked about, people have lives, busy, they don't think to go out there. I used to get email reminders to go out and look at those, and they fell off, and I don't get email reminders, so I completely forget to go out and look. So a lot of this stuff does get passed through with no one in attendance because no one is aware of what's happening. It's just people don't get the paper, and people aren't always on Facebook or on whatever. They just aren't seeing this stuff happening right next door. So now we've, you know, been going literally door to door to get people aware of what's happening here and get the feedback and get them out here. So all these people, I see a ton of new faces I haven't seen before, it's because we have so many people going door to door saying, hey, this is important to us. Come out, let's talk. So I think you might hear some new information, or maybe a repeat of what you heard at the Planning Commission, but I think just for you all to understand how important it is to us, and whether or not the rest of you watched the Planning Commission meeting and was able to hear everything everyone said. I read the minutes from that. It was such high level and did not, to me, convey the importance it is to us that property not be rezoned to M1. I just think it's only fair, since this conveniently got bumped another 2 weeks, give these people a chance to speak if they want to speak. And if I don't think I'm gonna get all everyone to show up in another 2 weeks. A lot of people worked really, really hard to get everyone here, not just me, but a lot of other folks involved.
I think to your point, I appreciate your comment. The rezoning has to happen next week, so any comments relating to the rezoning, I would appreciate we didn't continue tonight, because if we do, I would have to ask what you were going to speak about, and then ask Commissioner Hanemichael or Councilman Hanemichael to leave the meeting. If your comments are related to the rezoning, that's next week, or I'm sorry, our next meeting.
I appreciate it.
Go ahead.
Just as a question on the comments, the public hearing was the time for the public comment.
That's correct.
So we really don't, nor are we required to have public comment at our city council meeting. Is that not right,
That's
Patrick?
correct, right.
So even on the next meeting on the 20th, public hearing, it's an agenda item, there will be no comments made by the public.
It is up to our discretion. So normally I would say, if you made a comment at the planning commission meeting, I would ask that you would not repeat it. If you had something new to offer that you didn't, I would offer some time for new comments if you didn't have a chance to speak at the planning commission meeting. But the public hearing happens with the planning commission. Anyone else under call to public? Please come up.
Ron Atkinson, 8635 Primrose Street. My comments are not directly related to the expansion and annexation and that kind of thing, but I have lived on a street for several years that has an increasing amount of traffic. Most of the time is in quite a bit in excess of the 25-mile-an-hour posted speed limit. And when I contacted the sheriff's department, knowing of course that we don't have our own police department, they told me that they had only 6 or 7 guys on the staff full time, and they didn't have time to appropriately go out there and enforce the speed limit in those areas. 87th Street often has traffic, especially at the time schools being let out, and with the addition of the new street that's coming behind between the cemetery and the school property, has an enormous amount of cars that come out of there, turn that corner without ever stopping, and accelerate to probably 40, 50, 60 miles an hour going down that street. And I see it at most one sheriff department patrol on that street a month. So my question and comments are, do we have any plan with increased annexation of property, the load that's going to be put on the streets, increased streets by traffic and that kind of thing, to either increase that capacity by the sheriff's department or to put on our own police department?
We have no immediate plans to expand our police department, but we will, as we acquire additional areas, expand our additional service with the sheriff's department.
Well, I was told when I inquired about that they would put their resources where the accidents happen. And so the premise of that, at least, is they're going to wait for an accident to happen on those streets before they patrol it more.
I appreciate your comment. Thank you. I know we've done a number of enforcement actions and speed checks on 87th Street, and I think even on Primrose. So we'll make a note of that. And it's certainly with the school and their new access point. 87th Street is a street of concern, and we'll continue to monitor that. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, and I know you told me I couldn't ask questions, but I'll leave it. Is the die already cast? Do we have any power to stop this? Or do we get to actually vote on it?
The voting, I mean, it's.
I wasn't able to come to the planning commission meeting. I have no idea what's happened. I just found out about this yesterday. So is the die cast? Are we are we wasting our time? Can you guys just do whatever you want? Because it doesn't sound like Lori wanted us to talk at the next one, so I want to get it out this time. Is that what we're left with? You guys decide our fate?
Well, first, I just want to say, David, one thing you might want to do is go watch the planning commission meeting. And that way, you know what we all know. We've all watched the planning commission meeting. You were all at the planning commission meeting. We have been elected to make the decisions for the city, and that's what we will be doing, yes. Now, it's not happening tonight, and we've already explained why it's not happening tonight. It will happen on the 20th. And as far as our choices, we are not going to answer that tonight. We cannot keep discussing that at this point in time.
Do we have any power left, or is it all left in your hands?
It's the governing body is the deciding body with respect to decisions.
My man is that it wasn't more broadly advertised than it was. I knew nothing about it, and I think a lot of people didn't know anything about it. And hopefully going forward, we can be more transparent in the way we handle business today. Because so it was very, very important to me.
Thank you.
Very important. Thank you.
Please come up.
Thanks.
Mayor Walker and the City Council, thank you so much. I knew nothing about this. My name is Senator Beverly Gossage. I live at 9325 Evening Star Terrace. And I just found out about this meeting this afternoon from Representative Tim Johnson. And I'm wondering, could you tell me, and I know this isn't back and forth, but I'd like to know what was sent out. Could I get a copy of it? How would it affect me? And I know I can't be the only one who's thinking the same thing. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we have an attendee on the go-to meeting that would like to make a comment.
Okay.
We can do that after the next.
All right.
Hi, Greg Bennett, 30085 West 93rd Court, DeSoto. Is it true that the DeSoto Planning Commission voted to deny the rezoning?
You can watch the meeting and find that, but yeah, it's in the staff report.
So you went against the zoning commission, correct?
The zoning,
How does that work?
the planning commission is an advisory body to the council.
Who voted against it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they didn't vote against, they recommended denial, so they voted in favor of that.
Okay, thank you.
Put the online question up, would you please, Whitney?
Yes. Okay, I think it's Christopher. Are you able to speak?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes, my name's Chris Honorable, I live at 39705 West 100th Street. So, I have a very good comment that's coming on the and so, the meeting and the signs that was put up was not actually in compliance with code. So for Article 32 under public notice, if the lot or the tract of land has more than one abutting street, a sign shall be placed facing all streets. So on this Israel lot, there's only one sign. It's on the corner of, I guess, Edgerton. So I'm not, I guess, I think that might be part of the issue with the communication. So I'm going to be aware of that. It was mentioned during the planning commission meeting, but it doesn't look like any action was taken by the city to make sure they got compliant and put up proper signs. So I just wanted to make that comment, and that's all.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else under call to public? Are you going to talk about the rezoning?
I want to talk about the timing of our opportunity to speak about the rezoning. This.
Okay, sorry. I need your
37550 West 95th Street. You said our opportunity to speak was during this meeting that was how many days before Christmas? Just like a couple days?
4 days.
4 days before Christmas. How many of us probably have plans with family to go travel, to do whatever? And these are our homes that are being affected. Like, it seems a little disingenuous to say that we had our opportunity, because we didn't. That's pretty much all I want to say.
All right, thank you.
The timing of that was very inconsiderate.
My name is Will Moneymaker, 36715 West 95th.
Are you going to speak about the rezoning?
I am not.
Okay, thank you.
Or the annexation. I want to urge the council to listen to the people that they represent. This probably is arduous and takes up a lot of time, but perhaps maybe going and giving a call to the people that live around there and getting a cup of coffee with them and talk to them about what's going on and how it can be beneficial. And I just think that don't be afraid of communicating with us, and don't be afraid of what we have to say.
Thank you.
That's it.
Rosemary Mayo, 37265 West 95th Street. I think my comment that I'd like to make to the public, to you guys, is that if you guys really want to, we can't get up there and talk about the public opinion of what your feeling of this on this rezoning is, but you can contact any one of these people out there that volunteer their time, and they do have the responsibility to hear your thoughts. And at least listen, doesn't mean they have to comment. I know there's pros and cons to it, but if people want to give you their opinions, I need you guys to understand that you can contact any of these guys.
Thank you. Anyone else under call to public? I'm going to assume you're not just milling through the crowd.
I just love milling through crowds. My name is Jill Connell, and I live at 39905 West 103rd Street. I'm going to take my mask off for a second. And the reason being is that I sent each one of you a letter, and I hope that each one of you read that letter. And I also want to take the mask off so that you can put my name with that letter, okay? So if you didn't get the letter, please let me know, because I had some critical information in that letter for you. And yes, it was with respect to the rezoning, okay? Now, there's just a couple things that I want to bring up to the city council. And I hope that you're following your mission of DeSoto, your vision of DeSoto, and your core values. Because I looked at the core values, and I look at it from the standpoint of one of the core values, innovation. Strive to find a better way, okay? Think about that. Strive to find a better way. If you read my letter, you'll know exactly what I mean. Stewardship. Take seriously the trust that has been placed in you, which means you need to listen to the people that are so affected by this, okay? Excellence. Don't let good be the enemy of great. Accountability, and this is an area where I think it feels to me like it just went to the wayside. Honest, open, and transparent. Integrity and trust. Do what is right and expect others to do the same. All of these are your values as council people. Safety, never compromise. Critical. You're talking about taking two intersections and compromising the safety, as well as compromising the safety along 103rd Street. Community engagement, encourage and embrace feedback. Absolutely critical. So I just wanted to make those comments. I appreciate your thoughts, and when you read that letter, you'll know who it came from.
Thank you. Anyone else on call to public? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. Item 3 is old business, of which we have none, so item 4A, consider ordinance 2525 establishing tax increment financing district. I need a motion to table this item, please.
I'd like to make a motion we table agenda item 4A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Carmichael,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Before I do item 4B, I'm going to ask Councilman Hanemichael if he would recuse himself. Clerk will please note that Councilman Hanemichael is leaving the meeting.
So noted.
Item 4B, I need a motion to table this item.
I'll make a motion, we table agenda item 4B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now I'd like to talk about the time and day for our special meeting to consider the annexation ordinance.
Do you want Kevin?
Just, can you make for the record, those tablings are to the January 20th,
Yeah, these items will be tabled to the January 20th meeting.
and I'll go get Kevin.
All right.
Yeah, he probably should
Leave
stay
him
out
out on this one.
yeah.
Whoops. So I understand you have a conflict on several days.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So any day but Wednesday next week.
I'll be leaving on Friday.
So any day except Wednesday or Friday.
I'm available any night, Mayor.
I'm sorry?
I'm available all nights next week, so.
Okay. Rob?
I am. Thursday and Friday nights, I'm not. The rest of them I can be available.
So it does look like Tuesday night would work, right?
So January 11th?
Tuesday the 11th. Is this room's free on the 11th as well? Is that correct, Brandon?
Yeah, my understanding is the only conflict next week would be Monday for municipal court.
Okay. So would someone like to make a motion?
What time?
7, 6:30? What,
Whatever.
Lori's?
I can be here at 6:15, so anytime that's fine.
Okay.
So want to just say 6:30 and get
So
done?
what's the public notice that has to be given for this?
I'll defer to legal counsel.
By making a motion at this public meeting, that's notice, but we will send out notice on the Facebook and social media. Whitney's in charge of that, so we'll get notice out. Again, though, this meeting is just on the annexation issue. It has nothing to do with the rezoning, or the TIF district that will be taken up on the January 20th, 2022 meeting.
For the rezoning of both two properties? For the re-annexation of both properties?
Mayor?
Yeah.
Mayor, can we ask that she come up just because we have people listening online?
Well, it's not really okay, so I'll just repeat the question was how much notice is required? Legal counsel answered that notice by taking this action at this meeting, this is proper notice, and we will also make Facebook notices. This meeting will only be to discuss correction of the annexation ordinance action that was taken previously.
I'll make a motion, we have a special meeting on January 11th at 6:30 PM in council chambers to discuss the annexation issue.
So that's not to the public?
You're welcome to come. Yes, it's a public meeting. I'm sorry, and it's a little frustrating. This is not, I mean, we're not used to having a crowd, so I'm going to respond, but let's don't do that, all right? Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Did you get the motion?
I didn't catch the second, I'm sorry. Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion to hold a special meeting on January 11th, 2022 at 6:30 here in City Hall to consider ordinance related to the previously adopted ordinance 2520, which annexed 380 acres of land located west of DeSoto and 6,000 acres of the former Sunflower Army ammunition plant. Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Carmichael, Ritter,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Would you go get Councilman Hanamichael, please? All right, item 4C is to consider a replat of Lot 4, Block 2, Corridor 10, Commerce Park.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Brad Weisenberger, Planning and Capital Projects Director for the City of DeSoto. What you have in front of you is basically a cleanup item. Well, Hike 10 Commerce Park was initially platted 20-some years ago. We had a policy, in some instances, that it included the setbacks on the plat. And in this case, we had a 50-foot setback along Commerce Drive. That has since been changed to 25 feet. However,
All right, hold on one second. Kevin's, Hanamichael's company did the plat, so I'm going to ask Councilman Hanamichael to leave the meeting again. Sorry, Kevin. We called it back too soon. I didn't, yeah, I saw the logo up there.
all right, thank you, Mayor.
Continue.
Okay, so anyway, the 50-foot setback line is something we don't typically put on final plats. However, 20-plus years ago, we did have that policy. Since then, our policy's changed. We only have a 25-foot setback. And the site plan, the planning commission approved the site plan for the Taco Bell at the November meeting. However, when they went to get the building permits and get the project started, we couldn't issue one because there was a discrepancy between the final plat and the site plan. Even though our current regulations show 25 feet plat, which is a legally filed document, shows 50 feet. So to take care of this, we suggested that we replat the property and just simply remove the 50-foot setback line and allow the site plan regulation of 25 foot to govern the situation. So it's really a pretty functionary item just to take care of the setback line.
Okay. Any questions for Brad on the replat? Someone would like to make a motion?
Yes. I'll make a motion. We recommend the approval of the replatting and accept the easements of the right-of-ways.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mayor.
Excuse me, yeah, Mayor Walker.
Yes. Okay,
Motion carries. Sorry about that.
thank you. Someone want to go retrieve Councilman Hanamichael, please? All right, item 5 is an executive session, which we do not know executive session tonight, correct?
That's correct.
So advisory reports. City Administrator, Mike?
Yes, good evening, Council. Sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight. Just a few quick issues. I sent 2 emails to the council this afternoon. One of them was about the Miller Park drainage project that hit the streets for bid this afternoon. We have a pre-bid meeting scheduled for that project on the 13th of January, and bids are due on the 27th. In the email link I sent you, there's a link to the full set of plans. There haven't been any material changes since we last discussed the project and its anticipated budget with you several months ago. So wanted to let you know that project's on the street, and we hope to have favorable bids for your consideration the first meeting in February. So that's happening. You might hear about that. The other email I sent this afternoon was an RFP for on-call engineering services. You might recall for the 2022 budget, we do have funds available for on-call engineering services. The concept is to solicit proposals, qualifications proposals from consultants, evaluate those on a qualifications basis, select 2 or maybe as many as 4 of those consultants to use on a rotating basis for projects that are of a smaller scale where we wouldn't necessarily want to go through a complete full-blown individual selection process. So the RFQ is lined out in the document I sent you. If you have any questions about that, happy to discuss those with you now or at a later time. Those proposals are due at the end of this month on the 31st, and I will need, and we don't need to get volunteers tonight, but if anybody is interested in helping us evaluate those proposals, we'll need some representation from the council. So during February, we'll evaluate those proposals and then come to the council with the selection of consulting firms. So from that point forward, if we determine that there's a need for some consulting engineering work on a identified project that is either that the consulting fee would be less than $50,000 or the overall project would be less than $1.5 million, we would just select from those pre-selected consultants to negotiate a scope and fee and a contract to come back to the council for approval. For projects larger than that, larger than $1.5 million in total construction, or larger than $50,000 in engineering fee, we would follow our regular qualifications-based selection process on an individual basis, on a project basis, just like we've always done. This will allow us to more efficiently get under project design, some of those things that we do need engineering help with. A lot of times it's not necessarily a project, but just some consulting work there to help us supplement staff resources. So this is something we discussed, not a lot of detail, but discussed in some detail during the budget process for 2022. So the program is outlined in that RFQ. Again, read through that. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, happy to discuss those.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
That was it. Thank you, Mayor.
City Attorney.
Nothing for me, thank you.
City Planner, report tonight?
I have nothing to add tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. City Clerk?
Nothing to add tonight, Mayor.
Okay. Council comments. Mr. Honemichael, anything tonight?
Yeah, I might just speak just a little bit based on some of the things we've heard that kind of strikes home with me a little bit. I've got, a lot of experience working with economic development organizations around the metro, and I went through Leadership Kansas about in 2011, and since then I've been involved in putting together an EcoDevo panel on that. So, some of the comments that I heard, I think, strike with me in broad terms. I was talking broad economic development terms. And one of them early on was that DeSoto's tax rate's extremely high. That's true. I think we know that our tax rate is high, and one of the things that I think is an interest of mine is doing things to broaden, diversify, and entrench our property tax base so that it isn't as it is currently in our community where most of our city funding is coming from a residential tax base. And so this, the other areas I've been involved in, we really saw a lot of success in diversifying our tax base and broadening it, and that is a benefit for all citizens. One economic development organization that I was on board a lot of them talk about investment in capital and maybe number of jobs created, but we set a metric to increase median household income. Because if you're doing your economic development work correctly, then you're creating jobs and you're creating opportunities. And when we began to look at that and measure that over several years, we saw that the activity that was occurring through economic development, incentives and encouragement was in fact elevating median household income. And that's a way that it really does benefit the community as a whole. Certainly bringing jobs and those kinds of things then helps to grow that residential tax base and broadens that out. So, I just feel like, there is a lot of opportunity. In fact, one of the I was recently talking to the Dean of Engineering for Kansas State University, and the university had previously submitted a letter of support for an economic development project that DeSoto had been pursuing, and highly indicative of the fact that it's high-paying jobs, high-skilled jobs, and it was engineering workforce that is looking to be developed in this area. So I think that's where a lot of the benefit to the community comes as we pursue our economic development opportunities. And I think there's been a history there of the way that we've been looking at that for years and years through our planning process. So I do see, opportunities for public good, and I do know that it works from my previous experience. But I was kind of compelled to say something based on some of the comments I heard.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
Thank you. Lori?
So is TIF district not tabled?
This is not a time for comments from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Lori.
No, I think I'll refrain from comments tonight. Thank you. I'm fine.
Rob?
Just have a couple comments. Number one, there's been a lot of information, misinformation, and in some cases lies that have been spread around what's going on. One of the pieces of misinformation is that the TIF would increase your residential taxes. That has been debunked so many different ways that this TIF district would not increase your taxes. That said, for DeSoto residents, there's 4 local taxing jurisdictions. For county residents, there's 3. For DeSoto residents, it's the city of DeSoto. For county residents, we can't raise your taxes. You don't live in the city. The other taxing jurisdictions are the fire district, the school district, and the county. The good news is that 3 of those taxing jurisdictions have been working very hard at lowering your taxes. The city has lowered the mill rate. The school district has lowered the mill rate. The fire district has lowered the mill rate. There's only one local taxing jurisdiction that has raised our taxes, and that's our county government, our county commissioners. They raised our taxes. They're the only of the 4 taxing jurisdictions that raised our taxes. So the TIF won't affect the residential taxes, but our county government did raise our taxes when nobody else did. Oh, one other comment. The comment about this is all of a sudden. Every year, the Planning Commission reviews the future land use, and it sends it up to us, so it's voted on by the Planning Commission, it's voted on by the City Council, and that is a legally filed document with the state, with the county, and it has been filed that way for decades. The use of Gabriel, the use of Sunflower, so it's been planned for years, it's been documented for years, legally filed for years. It's been in the works well before anybody on this council came up to vote on it.
Thank you, Rob. Kevin?
I don't have anything to add what's already been said.
Danny?
I only have one thing, Mayor. I want to say I appreciate these people coming out on this cold evening, and we do listen and we do hear you. And I just wanted to say we appreciate that, Mayor, and that's all I really have to say this evening.
All right, thank you, Danny. I don't think I have anything to add tonight. Thank everybody for coming out.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you all.
I think you're fine.
Huh?
I think you're fine.
Well, it's nice to see you.
Yeah.
Me too.
My pharmacy. It hasn't been always, but it's